we're ready to go again. So start working into your standing routines. Same as usual, release the pose whenever you need, especially if you feel that it's getting a little bit too heavy, too much, making sure that you're trying to work through the muscles, you're not putting pressure and strain into the joint. So starting off, facing the front, the feet are together, the knees are together if they go that way, setting up into your Tadasana, setting up into your mountain pose, creating a strong tension coming up the front of the thighs, as if you can think of a strong lift coming up through the thighs and into the hips, grounding through the feet, planting yourself nice and strong into the legs. So with the arms I'm going to reach down the side and then creating a gentle traction, pulling down. I'm going to try and drop the shoulders down and away from the head, trying to stretch from the waist, trying to lift from the rib cage, stretching up through the neck and growing as tall as you possibly can over the seat bones, over the hips, over the legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And making yourself longer and beginning the arms up with 2 long straight lines running in front of you, going up into your Hastasana. Think of the shoulders keeping down and away from the head. If the shoulder feels a bit tight, I'm going to let the arms maybe go out a little bit wider, giving myself a little bit more space. But see if you can be aware of the arms staying locked, the arms staying straight, so the back of the arms is still actively working to lock the elbow joint, the elbows not flopping and dropping down. The shoulders are not shrugging out to the head. The back is not arching to create that lift. So see if I can keep the rib cage nice and soft at the front, the shoulders are down, the head is free to move from one side to the other. There is no tension into the neck. 3, 2, 1. And then pushing off the ground, just rolling up onto the ball of the feet to see if I can go even higher into my lift. Focusing on something in front of you, something on the wall or something on the floor, something that is going to help you maintain that strong balance. Feeling the toes are pressing and gripping to help you maintain that lift. 3, 2, 1. And releasing back. Returning the arms are down by the side, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the legs. It's a little bit more connection through the legs and into the balance. I'm going to try and see if I can isolate, working one side and then the other. I'm going to keep the feet nice and close together. I'm going to bend the right knee, roll up onto the ball of the foot. I'm going to externally rotate that right leg, turning the foot, turning the knee to open out to the side. And then I'm going to rest the heel of the foot against the inside of the shin. Just making sure that as you're creating that external rotation into the leg, your hips are not turning that way. If the hips are turned, then the supporting leg is weakened, is twisted, so it's more likely to lose the balance. The hips are facing the front. I'm going to try and plant and lock through that left leg, making it nice and solid, nice and strong. If I feel that that works fine, I feel that I can challenge the balance, and then I'm going to try and see if I can gradually take the pressure of the right foot to see if I can try and lift it off the ground. This is resting against the sole of the foot against the inside of the shin. Think of the foot pressing into the leg and then the leg pressing against the foot just to see if I can try and find that point of balance between the two. If I still feel comfortable there and I feel that I can go further, then I'm going to try and bring the foot onto the inner thigh, just close to the hips as possible. Just please be careful, make sure that you're not resting the foot against the inside of the knee. As if it's resting against the inside of the knee, you put pressure into the knee joint. So it's either above or below the knee. If I'm going above, same as before, I'm going to try and push with the foot into the leg, and press the leg into the foot just to see if I can find that point of balance. And then once that I'm happy that the legs are set, pressing the palm of the hands together, letting the shoulders drop down and away from the head, I'm going to try and lift myself into a taller tree. So raising the arms up and towards the ceiling, I'm going to reach them up as high as I can. And then once I feel that I can't grow any taller, I'm just going to open my branches out. And then same as before, see if I can find that spot on the wall or on the floor that is going to allow me to keep my balance a little bit stronger over that standing leg. 3, 2, 1. Closing the branches, lowering them down. Releasing the leg, releasing the hips. I'm going to see how much I can do, but working on the other side. So taking it to that level that works for this leg, that works for this side. So I'm going to bend that left knee, roll up onto the ball of the foot. I'm going to externally rotate that leg, making sure that again the hips are staying facing forward, facing the front. And then you see if I can, and same as on the other side, and try to pull the left foot gradually away from the floor, keeping the big toe down. If I feel that that's as far as I can go, as far as I can balance, trying to lift the big toe off the ground if possible, sort of the foot against the inside of the shin. And then same as before, if I feel that I can go more, then I'm going to use the arm to help me bring the leg up higher, pushing the foot into the leg, again trying to create the pressure between the two that is going to allow me to stay there into that balance. Once that I'm happy that the legs are set, then pressing the palm of the hands together, dropping the shoulders down and away from the head, I'm going to start lifting into a taller tray. Raising the arms up and towards the ceiling, reaching them up as high as you can. Once they don't go any higher, then opening the branches out, spreading them wide. Focusing on that point in front of you, anything that helps to hold in that balance. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Closing the branches, lowering them down. Releasing the arms, releasing the leg, relaxing the hip. So there's a little bit more connection both right and left side. If one leg was good at balancing and the other one was not, then I know that that's the side that I need to do a little bit more on, a little bit focusing on a little bit more. If the balance was pretty even, then I'm just going to work evenly on both sides. If there was no balance right and left side, then that's something that you can address, or something you can work on. So I feel a little bit more connected through the legs. I'm going to take a nice big step out to the side this time, and then see if I can stay through the inner thighs. I'm going to turn the feet so that the little toes are pointing straight forward, straight ahead. So if anywhere the feet are slightly turned in, I'm opening across the back of the pelvis. I'm not crashing the sacroiliac joint. I'm going to tip forward from the hips, and then I'm going to start hinging forward, coming forward into a little tabletop position. So imagine somebody behind you trying to pull your hips back with your chest. You're trying to reach forward. So I'm going to try and aim for my breastbone to be touching the front of the room, and my C-bone to be touching the back of the room. If the hamstrings are tight, you will find that the tendency is to get to the point where the hamstrings allow me to, and then as they start pulling, they will tend to pull on the pelvis, which means that my hinge will become a flexion from the middle of the back. If that's the case, I'm going to allow the knees to bend, and then see if I can maintain that longer, straight lower back, and see if I can try and move from my hip joints more. And then maintaining that longer reach through. With the C-bones I'm going to pull back, with the chest I'm going to try and reach forward to see if I can keep the head forward, and then trying to look where I want the chest to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to ease my way all the way back. So I can feel a little bit more opening through the hips. I'm going to try again. If the first time around I felt quite okay with the pull, Then on the next one, I'm going to try and see if I can make the pull longer, stronger. I'm going to add the arms. It's the same as before. Tipping forward from the hips, I'm going to lengthen my way through, bend the knees as much as you need. See if you can maintain that nice, flat lower back, just making sure that it's the hips that are moving. The chest is coming forward. I'm going to maintain that long reach through the back. With the right arm, I'm going to reach forward. See if I can try and touch that wall. With that left arm, I'm going to do the same. See if I can try and touch the wall. So see if you can think of from your fingertips through the arms into the back, into the hips, a nice flat line parallel to the ground. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Bring the arms back by the hips if you reach them out, returning all the way back up. So again, it's a little bit more length, it's a little bit more space. This time I'm going to go for the fold. So I'm going to start going down into that fold. See if you can try and create as much space as possible, same as before. And then once that you've got the space, you're going to try and close it down. So tipping forward from the hips, I'm going to hinge my way forward. This time the hands stay on the hips. I'm going to try and create as much length as I can. And then I'm going to start dropping down. Imagine this time the belly to be going into the space between the inner thighs, the rib cage into the space between the knees, and then with the head I'm going to try and go down into the space between the feet. Walking the hands down the back of the legs and getting as close to the feet as possible. I'm going to use the strength of the belly, the strength of the hips, and the strength of the arm to see if I can deepen my fold. Reaching down from the crown of the head, think of the tip of the head lengthening down and towards the ground, the C-bones climbing up and towards the ceiling. If the head touches the ground, your legs are too far apart. To shuffle the legs a little bit closer together, see if you can give yourself a little bit more space to go deeper into that fold. 3, 2, 1. Looking forward, looking up. Hands go back onto the hips, bend the knees as much as you need, pushing all the way back up to the top. As you get to the top, you're shuffling the legs all the way back in, releasing the hips and releasing the legs. Just a little bit more movement through the inner thigh, a little bit more length through the inner thigh, into the back of the leg. I'm going to stay with the back of the leg, but I'm going to try and go into isolation. So these times, see if I can get into a little pyramid pose or sideways triangle, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to turn to face the shorter side of the mat. I'm going to step forward on the right foot, leaving the left foot behind. Turning the left foot slightly out to the side and pressing the heel of the foot down. Then think of actively pushing into that left leg. So I'm going to press down into the heel of the left foot so hard that I can feel there is no pressure into my big toe. So I can wriggle it up and down if I want to. If that leg backwards, the pressure will tend to drift towards the big toe. So there is no way that I can lift my big toe, and then it's very likely that I'm going to be twisting my knee. So keeping the back leg active, keeping the big toe nice and light. I'm going to turn to face the shorter side of the mat to see if I can keep the hips square that way. And then exactly the same as you did on your wide leg angle, on your wide fold, tipping forward from the hips, I'm going to lengthen my way out. So I'm aiming for my chest to reach the front of the room. So I'm going to keep my head lifted, I'm going to reach forward. And then this time, as the right leg is in front of you, that's the one that you want to lengthen and stretch. Exactly the same as you did in your wide leg fold. If I find that my hamstrings are too tight, so as I'm coming forward, I feel myself rounding into the back, then allowing the right knee to bend ever so slightly, and then see if I can encourage the back to lengthen away. So with the tip of the nose, I want to go past my big toe. With my breastbone, I want to go past my big toe. I'm just trying to reach everything forward. Once that I feel that I'm as long as I can possibly be, then I'm going to hold it steady there, reaching the hands behind the hips, and then holding the hands together behind to see if you can try and avoid The shoulders are from sagging, from flopping. See if I can keep them lifted, see if I can keep them together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big push from the right leg, and then I'm going to ease my way all the way back up to the top. Releasing the legs, I'm going to switch the legs around. So the left foot stays forward, the right foot steps back. Same as before, 1.5 or 2 feet apart max. The hips are facing straight forward, straight ahead. The right foot is just slightly turned to the side. Grounding the right leg, pressing the heel of the foot down. See if I can make sure that the big toe is nice and light so I can wiggle it around. Left leg straight, at least to begin with. The tipping forward from the hips. So think of your left hip closing, lengthening your way forward. Same as you did on the other side, bending the knee if you need to. So see if I can create that nice straight line that from the hips that goes all the way to the top of the head. Reaching the hands behind the back and then squeezing the shoulder blades together. See if I can maintain the lift across the front of the chest. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then big push from the left leg, easing your way all the way back. Releasing the leg, releasing the hips. So I've got the nice fold through. I know if my hamstrings are tight, I need to bend that knee. I'm going to try one more time on each side and see if I can this time complete my fold, so drop forward into the leg. So I'm going to step the right foot forward, the left goes back, similar distance as before. The hips are facing forward. I'm going to start tipping forward from the hips and then lengthening my way forward first, so see if I can create that length first. Bending the knee if I need to bend the knee. Once that I feel that I can't make myself any longer, I can't reach myself any further, then I'm going to start coming forward. What I want is with the belly, I want to try and drop down onto the thigh, with the rib cage trying to get down onto the knee, with the head trying to reach down and towards the shin. The hands, if I can, I'm going to keep them behind the back, squeezing the shoulder blades together. If I feel I'm a bit wobbly here, then I'm going to hold onto the right leg or placing the hands down onto the ground. Think of your right leg like a little slider. So I'm trying to slide forward, slide down that leg. Notice the height of the hips and the height of the pelvis. Excuse the bum, but as I drop down into the leg, my right seat bone is not dropping below my left. So I'm not giving slack to the hamstrings, I'm trying to put into traction. So see if you can think of your right seat bone lifting up and towards the ceiling as you're trying to lengthen the body forward into that right leg. So the pelvis is perfectly level at the back. 3, 2, 1. And a big push from the right leg. I'm going to ease my way all the way back up to the top. Releasing the leg, releasing the hips. I'm going to repeat the same thing to the left side. So this time the left foot is forward, the right goes back, turning the right foot ever so slightly to the side. The hips are turned to face straight forward, straight ahead. Tipping forward from the hips, so create that nice long space first. So the back is still straight, the left knee might have to bend on this side, not big deal. As far as I can still feel the pull is on the leg, it's not going into my back. And then closing that left hip, I want my belly to drop down onto the thigh, the rib cage to come down onto the knee, and then with the head trying to reach down towards the foot, towards the shin. Keeping the hands behind. Keep active through the shoulder blades, squeezing the shoulder blades together if you can. Placing the hands down on the floor if I feel I'm a bit too wobbly here. And then same as on the other side, notice the height of the hips, the height of the pelvis, making sure that the left hip is not dropping down below the right, so I'm not wonky at the back. See if I can, trying to lift that left seat bone up and towards the ceiling, encouraging the pelvis to be nice and level at the back. So see if I can create that pull into that left hamstring down that left leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Looking forward, looking up, a big push from the left leg, easing your way all the way back up to the top. Releasing the leg, releasing the hips. So it's a little bit more opening into the back of the leg too. I want a nice opening into the front of the hips. So keep facing the short side of the mat. I'm going to set the legs a similar distance as before. So the right is forward, the left is back, turning the left foot out just slightly, pressing the heel of the foot down. This time I'm going to drive through that left heel, so same as before. I'm trying to keep the pressure off the big toe, so I'm not leaning into the big toe. Instead of keeping the right leg bent, I'm going to bend that right knee, and then I'm going to ease my weight forward into a nice lunge. Adjusting the position of the foot, just making sure that from where I'm standing I can still see my toes. See if you can be aware of the lower back. The tendency is to kind of like a slump into the lower back and collapse it through. So all the pressure is there. See if I can think of the tailbone tucking under slightly. So encouraging a stronger opening into the front of the left hip. The heel of the foot is still down on the ground. If I find that that's too heavy on my calf, then I'm just going to pop a block or something, a book, underneath the heel of the foot so that I can press down into the block and press down into the book, maintaining that left leg active. Once that I'm happy that the legs are set, that the back is keeping soft, then setting the arms. 2 strong straight lines running in front of you, dropping the shoulders, picking up the arms. Think of a nice reach that from the rib cage goes up the arms, into the fingertips all the way to the ceiling. The hips are sinking down and towards the ground. But making sure that as you're trying to sink the hips, again you're not sagging, so my hips are not suddenly turning out to the side and then dropping down. See if I can try and encourage the hips to stay to the front, so keeping the stretch into the front of the hip, into the front of that left leg. 3, 2, dropping the shoulders down and away from your ears. 1, staying there. If you feel that you've got enough balance there, then tipping the head back, looking at the space between the hands. Bring the palm of the hands together, interlocking the last 3 fingers, reach the index across the thumbs. See if you can think of a band, a scarf wrapping around your shoulders, as if you can let the scarf lift you up and towards the ceiling. With the fingertips, see if you can touch the ceiling, encouraging a little bit more lift through the thoracic, a little bit more lift into the upper back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, releasing the hand, returning the arms, stepping the feet back in, releasing the hips, releasing the legs. And then I'm going to open up my warrior on the other side. So the left leg stays still, the right steps back. I'm going to turn the right foot out slightly, pressing the heel of the foot down into the ground. Turning the hips to face straight forward, straight ahead. And then grounding the right leg, actively driving into the leg. I'm going to start bending that left knee. Adjusting the position of that left foot if I need to, until I feel that the leg is in a good position. From where I'm standing, I can see the toes in front of the knee. Feel the back. Again, making sure that I'm not slumping and collapsing into it. Think of squeezing with the right bum cheek. See if I can drive the hips forward. See if I can take some of that pressure off the back. And then once that I'm happy that the legs are set, setting the arms. 2 long straight lines. Dropping the shoulders down and away from the head. Reaching them up and towards the ceiling, lengthening through the side of the ribcage, lifting through the front of the chest. 5, 4, leg active. 2, 1. Staying there. If you feel that the balance is there, tipping the head back, looking at the space between the hands. Bringing the palm of the hands together, interlocking the last 3 fingers. Reach the index, cross the thumbs. And then feel that nice scarf wrapping around the shoulders, encouraging your rib cage, your shoulder girdle to lift up higher. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back. Releasing the arms, returning the arms, stepping the legs all the way back in. Releasing the hips and relaxing the legs. It's a little bit more opening to the front. We want a little bit more into the back line, into the back of the pelvis, into the lower back and back of the legs. So this time I'm going to set the feet nice and close together. I'm going to bend the right knee, roll up onto the ball of the foot, come up onto the big toe. You've tested the balance at the beginning of the session. If you know that the balance is just not there, then I'm going to get myself close to the wall, just leaning with the shoulders and the hips onto the wall, and then I'm going to work with that support. If you can hold the balance, then I'm going to stay on the mat. I'm going to pick up one leg, it doesn't matter which one, we're going to be doing both. And then once that the leg is up, once that I've got the balance over the standing leg, I'm going to let the other leg come up higher. I want the leg to lift as high as I possibly can. So as the right leg, as my right leg is now coming up to the chest, the left leg is working harder. The higher the right goes, the more I can feel the back of the hip actively working to support that lift. 5, 4, 3, reaching the hands around the back of the thigh or the front of the knee, pulling the leg a little bit closer to the chest. 2, and a little bit more. 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the leg, releasing the hip. I'm going to try exactly the same thing, but trying to open up around that left hip into that left side. So stepping the feet nice and close together, I'm going to pick up the other leg, which might be the left, or if you've done the other way, it'll be your right side. I'm going to find my balance first, is making sure that I feel stable, I feel solid. And then see if I can get that left leg to lift higher, that leg to lift higher. Noticing the standing leg, that tension into the back of the bum that is helping me to drive and support the leg up there. 5, 4, 3, 2. Reaching the hands around the leg, pulling a little bit closer. Pulling it a little bit more, and then releasing the leg down. Relaxing the hips, releasing the legs. I should be feeling a little bit more stretch down the back of the hip into the lower back. When you're ready, come into the front of the mat, just stepping the feet nice and close together. Tipping forward from the hips, coming forward into your narrow fold, coming forward into your Uttanasana. Bending the knees, the think of the belly dropping down onto the thighs, the rib cage coming down onto the knees, the head moving down in towards the feet. I'm going to set the hands down by the side of the feet, and then stepping back with one leg, stepping back with the other. I'm going to leave a gap between the feet to the sides of the hip, going bigger if you feel that that works for you better. Pushing through the palm of the hands, think of sending your seat bones to the wall behind. So I'm going to lock the arms, open up through the shoulders, and then reaching the hips up and behind, letting the head drop down between the arms. Think of the knees as staying bent. People insist on straightening up the legs, but looking more like that. That's not stretching my hamstrings, that's just pulling on my back
and then quite a low pressure is going through my wrists. I want the opposite. I want my knees to stay bent but my back to go straight. So see if I can create a little bit more tension through the hamstring, taking the pressure away from the wrist, trying to reach myself back as far as I can. And then from there, one leg at a time or both legs together, I'm going to roll up onto the ball of the feet to see if I can send the sequence even higher. And then imagine to be able to hold them up there. I'm going to press the heel of the foot down, bending the knee, straightening the legs, just making sure that the back keeps straight. Then again I'm going to roll up onto the ball of the feet, and then I'm going to press down. Two more times. Rolling up and pressing down. One at a time or both together. Last time. Lifting up. Hold the sequence nice and high. Press it down. One at a time or both together. Then easing back and releasing down. Bending the knees and dropping the knees down. Big toes come together. Pushing back into child. Allowing the wrists, the shoulders, the arms, the back to relax. And giving yourself a good space in the middle. Making sure that you're able to breathe. The breath that doesn't feel restricted. Then when you're ready to release, I'm coming all the way back. Taking the legs around to the side, bring them to the front, coming down into sitting. If you need to put something more on, do it now. Finishing off with a little bit of Shavasana. I'm going to let you set yourself into Shavasana. If you're using the videos the other way around, or you're doing the standing first and then the ground, the mat work afterwards, please go straight into the next video. If you enjoy the video, remember you might like my live classes. So if you look down on the class description, onto the video description, you'll be able to find a link where you can book live classes with me. So I hope we'll see you all soon. So lying down on the back, allowing the legs to extend along the floor if the back lets you do that. Keeping the knees bent. If I find that my back doesn't feel too comfortable, I need to bend my knees. The arms come down the side, turning the palms to face up and towards the ceiling. Letting the shoulders roll out to the side of the front of the chest, open up. Finding a comfortable position for the head. And then see if you can notice the breath. Think of the breath being in the belly, not in the chest. So I want my belly to move with the breath. Raising on the inhale, falling on the exhale. I want my chest to stay soft, my collarbone, my neck, my throat to stay relaxed. See if I can find a nice, relaxed belly breath, encouraging your diaphragm to move inside of the ribcage. There's no tension into your intercostal muscles. There's no tension into your shoulders, across the front of the chest, your neck, your jaw. And then if you feel there is any tension left anywhere within the body, imagine to be able to breathe that tension away. Sustain to Shavasana for as long as you want, as long as you need. I will let you relax there. And then I hope we'll see you all soon, either live or on the next video. Bye for now.